Welcome, everyone, to the Facilities Podcast. We are excited to be joined today by Joe Lavina. I'm Jeremiah Johnson from Muskego, Norway. We got Joe from La Crosse, and today we are having a special guest, Scott Johnson, not related to me, but happy to have Scott on as we're going to dive into the topic of specialty spaces. So we're going to spend some time diving in today to unique spaces and places that we all get to maintain in our district. And so we put out a call for others around the state to send us some interesting photos. So we will dive deep into that. As we get into it this morning, please populate the chat area with any questions, or if you have spaces that you're using or maintaining, that would be interesting for us to talk about throughout this. So, Joe, how's life up in La Crosse right now?
Doing well. The weather's changing a little bit. We got some construction projects going on, so the warmer weather helps with that. But everything's going well here in La Crosse. So I'm excited about today. We don't have a lot of specialty spaces, at least that I think of. But it's a great process I want to hear about others. So thank you.
Right on. And Scott, you started sending pictures to talk about, so I'm like, well, now you got to be on it because you sent me too many. So welcome
Yeah,
to
I
the
volunteered myself.
yeah, right on. All right, we'll jump right into it with a little bit of levity. So when we think about the strangest places and spaces that we can possibly maintain, the first thing that came to mind was over in Oconomowoc. Greg has a slide. So I'm not sure that many of us have slides in our schools, but I thought that was a fun highlight. He did note that he keeps it gated off during non-school hours, that they have to do routine inspections. There's a photo of him inspecting it right here, and he has to go down the slide at least once a month to know that it works. And his special note is under this pad that's pictured here is a drain, just in case that they have some fluids that maybe go down the slide, which I'm sure is part of his thinking and planning as they put this together. You guys have any slides in yours inside your schools?
No, we have no slides inside our schools, so this is a really unique one for sure.
Yeah, nice. Um, Next up, I'll highlight a community garden. So in Muskego, we had a school that came forward and wanted to do a garden project. So it's been very successful, well over a decade. But the thing to think about, as many of us may have these, is who's going to maintain them, who's going to weed them, who's going to water them. And this school has done a fantastic job of engaging the school community. So parent volunteers will sign up to come in and water and harvest. I think our custodian will do some watering occasionally, but we were adamant that this can't be like an extra job task for the custodian on duty, just given the number of things we have going. When other schools step forward and say, "Hey, we want to do this community garden too," I do ask for a plan. Like, do you have somebody else that can help maintain this so it's just not a duty that's put onto the custodial department? Any egg programs you guys got going?
Yeah, we have an organization called Grow that we've teamed up with, and they're coming into all of our schools, and so we're putting gardens together right now for the ones that don't have schools. So every single one of our schools will have a community garden, if you will, and so we've just really working with them and teaming them up. And so, what is whose responsibility in cleaning that? So we've just put something together for that. Who pays for the initial cost? And one of the things that we did as it relates to the gardens is we're funding it through Fund 80 because again, it's a community program. And so we're ordering all the materials and putting them together. And then the Grow committee or the Grow organization will take over from there. And so it's kind of a unique partnership that we've developed. We're in the learning stages, right? Because you learn as you go, but it's a great program.
Yeah, we had a community group come to us about 2 years ago looking for, they know that we have about 120-acre campus here and we're wondering about putting together a community garden. Um, Over by our bus garage, we had about a 2-acre plot of land that all we've done for the last 20 years is mow it and haven't really done anything with it. So we let them use that. It's all community driven. All we've done is give them the land, and then we set up an MOU as far as rules of how to run the garden and stuff like that. So they till it up, they set up rows, and community members can come and plant their own stuff. They raise a bunch of stuff themselves and get donated by Hanson's IGA and stuff like that. So we don't have much into it other than letting them use the land.
Nice. On that topic, we do have some farmland that is part of a school property that we lease out to a local farmer for the high cost of $1 a year or something like that, just so they can keep the land fresh. So, yes.
Let me ask you this, Jeremiah, do you use that as part of the curriculum, that community garden?
No, when we initially built the school, there was the architects thought like it'd be a great idea to integrate that into it, but it never really caught wind. We do have a head facility manager at the school that has been tinkering with the idea of putting in a pumpkin patch or something like that as part of a
Oh,
program, which could be fun.
yeah. We use our gardens as part of the curriculum, and so this outside organization has teamed up with our PTOs, and so they'll come in and the kids will be a part of their community garden process, and then they use it as part of the curriculum as well.
All right. I think in Minnesota and Canada, it's more common for school districts to have hockey rinks. This is what intrigued me most when Scott said he wanted to hop on was to talk about the ice rink. It seems like an altogether foreign care as far as taking care of ice and Zambonis and stuff. So walk us through what you got going on and how you take care of this thing.
Sure. I think we're one of only a handful of school districts in the state that own and operate their own hockey rink. We do have a West Salem Hockey Association. They were formed back in like the 1970s. They originally started out on some village land having an outdoor hockey rink. The village built a large uh, shelter, and so then they started putting together a hockey rink inside this shelter. They used to call it the meat locker because it was actually colder inside than it was outside. So you had to really bundle up if you were coming to that hockey rink. So it was known as the meat locker. So back in probably about 2015, 16, we started to put together a plan to work together with the village and the hockey association to build an event center. And the biggest part of this event center is actually the hockey rink itself. So during the remodel of our middle school, we also put money towards building this event center. So like I said, we own and operate this hockey rink. The Hockey Association donated the Zamboni to it, the chiller, a lot of the interior stuff, and then we built up this hockey rink. So the main arena is where the hockey rink is. We have a commons area, a lunch area, concessions, but we also built onto this event center a gymnastics area. It's a non-competition gymnastics area, but the high school team can leave their equipment up all the time, and it's got a foam pit to it. But I also dedicate one maintenance person to the hockey rink from October 1st to March 15th, which is part of our agreement with the Hockey Association. So we have two teams here at the high school. We have a girls team and a boys team. Both of them are co-ops. We gained the girls team last year because we had a large number of West Salem girls in the co-op. So Onalaska had a small number, so then they obviously came over here. So we had to re-accommodate our locker rooms. One of the downfalls is now we have less locker rooms for our hockey association. So we're now working with them on how to add on some locker rooms to it. Uh, I have one guy that takes care of the hockey rink. He monitors the chiller. Every day we keep it at about 19 to 20 degrees surface temperature. In the fall, when we put the hockey rink together, the maintenance team and I do all the work of putting together and putting in the ice. So that's about a week-long process. We start cooling the floor down, turn the chiller on, start cooling the floor of the arena down, and then for the next 2 or 3 days, we keep adding layers of ice. We get a good layer of ice built up, and then you put down the paint, the white paint, and then the stripes and the lines. The goalie areas, we have logos that we put down for our two high school teams, and then finish off the rest of the layers of the ice, and then maintain that throughout the rest of the season. Uh, our maintenance guy is an expert on the Zamboni. He trains all the Hockey Association parents that want to do it on weekends. And so
Mm.
we have a program set up for that, and we document who's been trained and, turn it into our insurance company and stuff like that. One thing about owning a hockey rink is it's very expensive to run and operate. A Zamboni by itself is close to $100,000 just for the machine. We did have ours break down back in late November, early December, right before Christmas about actually. And ours was built in Canada, so the only place we could get parts for it was in Canada. So it took about a week to get a part. And so you really can't have a lot of hockey if you don't have a Zamboni to surface the ice
Mm.
after every practice. So our hockey association went out and called around looking for anybody that had a spare. Toma Hockey Association came through and borrowed us theirs for a week until we could get ours back up and running. So I really couldn't call around to some of our partners in Wasbo because not many have a hockey rink, so they don't have access to a Zamboni. So we really felt like we were in a tough spot, but we, leaned on our hockey association. We were able to find one and get back up and running within hours of ours being taken down. So yeah, there's a lot to this place. Monitoring the chiller, monitoring the humidity in the building. We have something called a DOAS. It's part of our HVAC system. It controls the humidity in the building, and that stands for direct outside air system. So we monitor that. We monitor the temperature in the locker rooms because we don't want those to be too warm, and so that's their preference. So. And the rest of the season, we use it as an arena. We have a auto parts show in there late March after the ice comes out. We host graduation parties. Our athletic teams use it for inclement weather. They'll go in there and practice out there. So, yeah, there's a lot to it, and I've learned a lot since we built this thing. So, luckily, I have a maintenance guy that will never get to retire because he can continue to maintain that building.
I think it was interesting that I heard you actually put the paint on top of the first layer of ice. It's not like something that's on the ground.
No, no, the floor is not painted. It's just concrete floor with the cooling coils underneath the flooring. So what we do is we put down, I think, probably about 4 or 5 layers. We have this 6 foot long mister, and we start at one end. And as the floor is cooled down to where it freezes, you take this mister over it. Takes about an hour to do a single layer. We just go back and forth, sometimes slip
Mm.
and fall. We should
Jeez, yeah.
probably be wearing helmets, but we don't. But so we get about 4 or 5 layers down, then we put the paint down or spray the paint down. We actually use tape to put down the lines, paint out the lines, and then like I said, the logos are vinyl, so we put those down and then start putting layers of ice back over it. So John, our maintenance guy, keeps track of how thick the ice is. He does a lot of edging because on like athletic fields, the more pressure in the middle pushes out, so we have to do edging. And then every day he puts down at least another layer and then refreshes the ice daily.
So tell me about that painting process. Does that take about what you would do when you line a football field, or seems like it would be much longer because you're on ice, but
It is much longer because you have to spray down the entire rink, the white
Mhm.
layer first,
Yeah.
and go through, but that's just a one-time process. And then it's there for the rest of the season. You just continue to refresh the layers of ice on top of it.
Okay. Interesting. Is
What's
there any
the
other,
yeah.
I was going to ask, is there any other specialty equipment that you need besides the Zamboni?
Zamboni is the biggest thing, other
Mhm.
than luckily our chiller is a multi-stack chiller, air source chiller that sits outside.
Mhm.
Service tech from multi-stack only lives a mile away, so if we ever have problems, he's here within a few minutes.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's got alarms on it, so if the temperature starts to rise or we lose a pump or anything like that, so always being able to monitor um, the ice temperature, making sure that it doesn't get too soft.
Mhm.
What is your monthly electric bill in that bad boy?
Uh, Boy, off the top of my head, that we just put in a dent meter with Data Wrangler.
Mhm.
We have those in the rest of our buildings. We monitor our energy usage. We just installed that. The Hockey Association pays 60% of the utility bills from October 1st to March 15th because they use the rink about 60% of the time compared to the school district. I couldn't tell you couple $1,000s, I think, because the place never shuts down. You're constantly
Mhm.
chilling the ice, so probably right around
Yeah.
there.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned you guys had an outdoor rink. We tried our hand at it too. We have a co-op hockey team in Muskego, so the athletic director said, "Hey, can we buy a rink and set it up?" And in my head, and our grounds guy at the time was like, "Oh yeah, let's give it a whack." But like that thing was huge, like a full-size rink. Like I'm picturing like you go to a park and they got the little like
Yeah.
ice skating rink where people are at, but this thing was full size, and you learn rather quickly that there's no part of your property that's perfectly flat. So we set this thing up, and um, many times it collapsed because we weren't getting like a good freeze cycle. And because of the tilt, like it would like overfill on one end. And then one weekend we had kids get on it before it was fully frozen. So then they were like chopping up the liner with their skates. We tried 3 years in a row to get this thing to go and had some unseasonably warm winters where it wouldn't freeze at all. So we set up lighting and it just spent so much time. And we finally gave in and just gave this thing to the city, which they have not set it up yet, but we tried. Let that be a cautionary tale to anybody else that might
Yes.
be thinking about getting their feet wet in this area. All right, we've got indoor pools we can discuss, and Scott has an outdoor pool. What makes an outdoor pool unique compared to like an indoor pool?
Well, obviously, we only run it from May till August. Um, our pool, the school district owns and operates and maintains the pool. Kind of a backstory to this. Back in the late 1950s, we have a Lake Neshonoc just outside of town here. Had a young child and their father drown. So a family came forward. The Swarthout is named after a Swarthout pool. They set up a beach along the lake out here. And in 1965, the village of West Salem applied for the Federal Land and Water Conservation Fund and funded an outdoor pool, tennis courts, baseball field, and then a large shelter house adjacent to the school district here. So not long after that, the high school was built, and so the village of West Salem donated the outdoor pool and the tennis courts to the high school as part of our campus. And so with that funding, you can never get rid of it. If you do replace anything, you have to replace
Mhm.
it with equal value or better. And so when we moved our tennis courts back in 2017, we had to make them either the same value or larger, according to the funding stipulations. So, but with the outdoor pool, again, the maintenance team and I, we run the pool, maintain, put it together, fill it, clean it, monitor the pumps, the chemical levels. The health department is very cautious of chemical levels. You always see they put out, if there's E. coli in the beaches and stuff like that, but they also monitor outdoor pools because of all the chemicals and uh,
Sure.
organic and everything. And then obviously with the uh, people that are swimming in the pool. So we're doing another update this summer. We're replacing our filters and pump our chemical feed, and actually we're changing over from liquid chlorine to pellets. It's a lot safer. All of our lifeguards and our pool director is a 20-year-old college student. He mostly just directs the lifeguards, which are high school and college age students. And so you can't expect them to be able to run and operate the mechanical side of the pool. So this is our community pool. We have the only one in town, so we're very busy. throughout the summer. Um, you never want to see it shut down, whether it's mechanical or the health department, because being a community pool, you get a lot of upset community members calling. And so, like I said, we monitor, keep making sure it's up and running. We have a kiddie pool with a little panther slide. You slide out of the panther mouth and down the tongue and into the pool. We have a swim team, youth swim team. They're called the Sharks. So they use the pool all the time. We have early risers that show up at 6 a.m. And swim. That's usually our elderly community members because they want to get in before all the kids start coming. And then we run swim lessons all summer long as part of our summer school.
Nice. And Joe, I understand you guys are trying to get an indoor pool going. How's that going?
Yeah, so we have an indoor pool right now, but it doesn't meet the current standards, so we can't, it's not a competition pool. And so our city of La Crosse, they have three outdoor pools that are operated by the city, and then we have the YMCA who has an inside pool. So what we've done is the city, because of the outdoor pools, and Scott probably knows this, you don't make money with outdoor pools, right? You can only operate them a few months out of the year. And so they're closing down some of their pools, which has really created this controversy in the community. And so what we've done is we've put together a group of us from the city, from the YMCA, and from the school district. And what we're really looking at is how can we take that outdoor pool and make it year round. And so obviously we have some facilities, and so we're looking at what is the best site for that. So we're at very early stages, but we have three groups coming together, looking at how we could fund an indoor pool to be available all year round that's competition and also recreation. So kind of filling both of those voids. Because we're like Scott, we do swim lessons during the summer. But we're all competing in La Crosse. We're not huge, right? But we're all competing for lifeguards. And so we're really looking at where's a model out there that will work for us and where we can fund. And so we're tossing up out the whole idea of Fund 80 for operational purposes. Even for the initial investment, we're looking at doing a community survey. The YMCA has some really good models of operating, managing pools on school sites and on city sites. It's well in existence for them, and they do an excellent job of operating where that's really not our strength. And so we're in the early stages, but it's looking promising of bringing the three groups together.
Yeah, that prompted us to get a new pool too, the code. Like we didn't have a deep enough pool to have a diving
Yeah.
program. And ironically, our roof deck was so low that like some kid jumped off the diving board and slapped tape on the roof deck. So like and it was leaking like a sieve. We were like one day we lost like 10,000 gallons and we still don't know where it went, but maybe that's why we had unsuitable soils after we went to reconstruct it. But yeah. All right. Our next topic is a home. So I do know there's some districts that as part of their like tech ed programs will like build homes or they'll buy one and refurbish one. I think Scott, you got an interesting program that you were going to talk about.
Well, this is actually our outdoor education center. Back in 1964, a lot of things happened around here in 1960s, but up by Fort McCoy, about 20 miles from West Salem here, the federal government was selling off plots of land around Fort McCoy. And so the school district was able to purchase about 160 acres of forest area right alongside of Fort McCoy for a very reasonable, I think it was like $10 an acre. They got it for a dollar an acre, something like that. So, um, like I said, it's 160 acres. It's a big open field right in the middle. We have trails that go, we have what we call a wet side, and we also have what's called a dry side. Out on the dry side trail, there's a ropes course. The high school and middle schools use that a lot. And but in the field area, in the main area of the complex, we have two buildings. One's called a lodge, and the other one was used to be called a classroom, but now it's more of storage. Our construction classes have done a lot of work out there for many years, rebuilt the lodge, expanded it, put in bathrooms, indoor plumbing, stuff like that. And then just a few years ago, as you can see in that picture, we built a couple outdoor shelters near this field so that you can get out of the sun, get out of the rain while students are up there. So every school year, all of our classes, all the way from 4K all the way up to seniors, go out there and use the outdoor education center, mostly called the school forest. In the spring, our seventh grade all camp out there for a week. So half the seventh grade goes out Monday, Tuesday, and then come back Wednesday, and the other half go out Wednesday, stay Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Do a lot of team building activities. We haul meals up to them morning, evening, and during the day. And so, like I said, there's every student gets to go out there, use the school forest. We host other events. In the winter, we'll do like a candlelight trail, cross country ski. Put candles down through the trails and then cross country ski through there. Kind of fundraisers. They do a haunted. Our National Honor Society does a haunted trails event out there around Halloween. So. A lot of work gets done out there, not just by our maintenance staff, but our construction crews go out there. When the seventh grade goes out there, they help refurbish the trails. When we did re-roofing of the elementary school this last year, we took all the ballasted rock. Instead of letting them haul it away, we took it out to the school forest to start rebuilding some of our trails that are starting to deteriorate. Probably about 15 years ago, we built a canopy deck around a large tree that overlooks the wet area of the forest. And so a lot of classes do stuff up in that. It's about 20 feet up into the tree canopy, and had a lot of volunteers, PTO. We had a couple construction companies come and help us build that. So there's a lot to do up there. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, every student in the school district gets to go up there.
Nice. It's good to hear you guys have productive like camping sleepovers. In Muskego, we have a
Yep.
senior prank where all the kids show up and sleep in our parking lot, and I don't think anything productive is happening. Hey, before we jump on to the next topic here, we had a couple of really good comments. Becky mentioned indoor turf facility. We'll actually touch on that in a little bit because I copied you. We had Nick talking about nature trails in Elkhorn, which really tie together nicely with what you just mentioned, Scott, and having students maintain. And I really love the idea of reusing that roof rock. A lot of times when roofers suck that stuff off the top in preparation to re-roof, you can take that rock. It's great for gardens and whatnot. The last comment that we can discuss is Ruben says we have a local hot tub company that wants to donate cold water recovery tub. Just wondering your guys' thoughts about training and who should be in charge of cleaning and adding chemicals.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Well, I would liken it to, we have a certified pool operator on staff, so they've gone through that. So I would, if you have that, that's obvious one person that can do that. Others, if you don't, I would want to make sure, me personally, I'd want our maintenance staff to do that, but would give them the training, and I think that you could go through that certified class fairly reasonable. It happens all throughout the state of Wisconsin, so I'd encourage them to do that.
yep,
We do
and
have a
use the
cold water recovery tub, and I don't know. I mean, we've never been asked to touch it yet, so maybe I should look
No.
into that. All
One thing
righty.
I just wanted to add, you brought it up when Scott did initially, is tech ed. So we do have a tech ed department that builds houses, and so it's a 2-year process. Working as you start as a junior and you finish that house as a senior. So working with local contractors, we purchase the property and then work with local vendors in that whole process. But so students see that from start to beginning, and then our partnership was with the city and they would sell the homes. But now that partnership has kind of dissolved. And so we will take full operation of that and do that as we move forward.
Nice. Our next unique space comes compliments of the Pewaukee Pirates, John Stangler. They have a hammock garden where they have to do routine inspections. There's some shades that get taken down for the winter, and students have recently helped refill and replenish the wood chips. So interesting. I think this just brings to mind when we work with architects, they always have fun ideas and things that look great on paper, but just processing through what it actually takes to take care of some of these spaces, they can be interesting.
That one's definitely a unique one when I saw that.
Yes. Another space compliments of John Stangler. This is his 4K wing, so a lot of us have 4K centers. I think it made sense financially for us to take in 4K programs if you're able to in your school district to obtain the funding for those students. So they had a unique theme to every one of their spaces. John proudly posed in all of them for us. So thank you, John.
I will just say this, and this will date me when I say this, but I can remember in kindergarten class in Davenport, Iowa, you see that sand pit that's there. We had something similar. We had a fish. We have live fish in our 4K room. This is a long time ago, and we maintained them, took care of the fish, but these are definitely unique spaces.
I'd be a little nervous about the sandbox. You know what happens sometimes in sandboxes.
Yes.
John noted that the fire inspector maybe had some issues with the little barn. Maybe had to put a roof sprinkler inside that barn system. Fun.
Fun spaces.
Next up, my friends over in Belleville, they have a splash pad. I thought this was kind of unique. They got
Mhm,
the big dump bucket that we often see at the Kalahari when we're there for
mhm.
conferences. They have one of those. Involves routine inspections, and Steve, their facilities manager, said the biggest thing is the removal of scale. So a lot of us are pulling city or well water, and we know those things can end up looking rusty or crusty. So having folks take care of these things is interesting. Scott brought me back. Like these places often become the hub of your community, a community pool or a splash pad. So a lot of us are operating with, hey, we take care of students and school day stuff, but really in reality, this is like a full year
Mhm.
community gathering space that people come to depend on. So it's good stuff.
I'd just be curious to know how much time that takes and how much effort that they have. So if they're on, kind of share with us what that budget looks like for maintaining that. I'd be interested in knowing that.
Yeah, right on. Joe, maybe you can help us. This is from Dale and Amherst. They have
Yeah.
a agricultural program, greenhouse with some specialty controls to keep everything going, and you have something similar?
Yeah, we just built it. We just finished the project because we have an agriculture program that we had, but we didn't have the facilities for that. And so we just put a state of the art one in, very similar to this, where the teacher can control the watering systems from their computer inside the school. And so we're excited about where that's going to take us to the next level. But I will say it was a lot of work getting in that. We use United Greenhouses out of Wisconsin here to help us do that, and they put greenhouses up everywhere. And they were terrific to work with through the whole process. But it looks very similar to this model, and we think it's going to take our us to the next level. We're trying to figure out what that really means right now, as far as maintenance, because we haven't had much time with that. We just finished it in December, and so we're just starting to use it the second semester. But at least initially, it's a great addition to our facilities. Maintenance wise, we don't know where we'll be with that yet. We're trying to figure all that out. But certainly, it's a great facility to have.
Yeah, we have one here. We've had one here at the high school for probably close to 25 years. Our agricultural classes and our science classes have used it. And it actually started to change over from just a greenhouse to aquaponics in the recent years.
Mhm.
So, you know, we've had to reconfigure ours. It actually just got tore down because that's where our new addition to the high school is going. But we are building a new one in the middle of our high school. We have a courtyard. It was underutilized and never used actually. And so the greenhouse will actually be attached to the science rooms. So all the science rooms will have
Mhm.
access into our new greenhouse. And their plan is to continue to do aquaponics throughout that and continue that program. But we've had one for quite a while. As far as maintenance to it, we haven't had to ton of it. We've had very good science teachers that knew how to take care of their equipment. Humidity will get you as long as you're, getting rid of the humidity in the summertime. But it lasted a long time. Like I said, our last one lasted close to 25 years.
Yeah, you mentioned aquaponics. Jeremiah, do you have any aquaponics at your school?
No, we don't have a strong, or even we don't have an agricultural program at all. We have a really nice STEM wing at our high school with a lot of cool machinery and world-class robotics and stuff like that, but nothing agricultural.
I will say, and I should have mentioned, send a picture of this. We have aquaponics inside the school at Central High School. And
Mm.
so we have it, it's all windowed off. And so as you come in for athletic events and different things, you could look into our aquaponics lab and see, depending on the time of year, you can see fish in there and the plants and everything. It's quite an operation, but it's in our main entry of one of our high schools.
Awesome.
About
Next up is
2,000.
Elkhorn School District. They have a really large gymnastics space dedicated towards gymnastics. Um, Super impressive. We in Muskego, we were gonna build something similar. We ended up making a dance studio, which has turned into more of like an all-purpose yoga space, but this is pretty incredible. I know they have an indoor practice facility on the other side of the curtain, I believe. So just a really impressive space.
Yeah, it is. Wow.
Yeah, those are tough. And, you know, way back when we used to have our gymnastics team in our elementary gym. And so every night they would have to set up all
Mhm.
their equipment. Parents would have to come in and set up the spring floor and then just be a disaster after the gymnastics team is done because they scrub up all the chalk that's on the floor so the floor is not slippery. Meanwhile, your park and rec team is trying to get in and start playing basketball. And so it was always such a time crunch. I was always amazed that none of those young girls that are setting up all that equipment never got injured. Because moving that stuff around all the time. So having a facility like that is really beneficial. So it saves on your equipment, plus it can always be up and be used for other activities also.
Um, Next up, we there's a handful of these in the state. Indoor practice center. It is really helpful in our climate for sports teams. Like we're hitting fields like in March for most of our spring sports, and it's just almost sometimes there's still snow. So this has been a game changer. We're working AM 5 a.m. it opens, and it's operating all throughout the night with
Mhm.
different sports groups in here. Some of the things that we considered when we did this is number one, we went to Kimberly and looked at what they had going and a couple other school districts. We toured them all and tried to piece together some things that we seen that were awesome features. We do have a track. The track has a pole vault pit in it. One mistake we made is when we installed it, the pole vault pit was in the middle lane. And we thought to ourselves afterwards, like, if a kid really gets up there, they might hit one of these like upright beams.
Mhm.
So we had to move the pit. We did put in a shock pad underneath with the turf just for concussion protocols. The drop curtains for baseball, we wanted this to be simply like a practice center. This isn't like we're playing live games in here. So we did put like a mullion in the center of it. So you could have four pitching and batting practices, or you could raise the mullion and have a large batting area inside of the drop curtain. And a couple other things we have adjacent is our weight room. I'll just dive on that next, but we put a little, almost like a ledge up there, like a balcony. And that's for coaches. They can do some coaching from up there, but mostly our band program uses it for our band directing. So they'll do our marching band shows in here in practice. So some of the things, one thing we did unique to other school districts, and if you're ever considering this, I'd encourage it, is we removed the netting from the ceiling. We've seen that some other districts outside of Wisconsin didn't have that. And the netting itself, I want to say was like 300 to $500,000. So we removed the netting and knock on wood, 2 years in, we have not had a ball pierce the ceiling yet or take out a light fixture. So I think that was a wise savings, at least at the moment. Maybe a year from now, I'm telling you guys something totally different.
Hey, Jeremiah, when did that project finish and what was the cost of doing that project?
Yeah, good question. We hit the market right after COVID, so it was a weird procurement period, but our prices was still pretty favorable. So this weight room here that you're looking at, plus the practice facility, plus classrooms, locker rooms, corridors, was 17 million. I don't know that that's still the going rate. I think some others are exploring things like this and are
Mm-hmm.
probably disappointed to hear the current price tag, but
Yeah.
I think we got a little bit of a deal.
Is this fitness center attached to that facility you just
Yes.
showed us?
Yeah, so to the left of where, if you were to look to the left, we have two
Mhm.
garage doors that open up into the fitness facility. So we open at 5 a.m. to the community. We open up the garage doors. We have a staff member in here. He's a football coach as well. And so he signs people in at the far desk, as far down as you can see.
Mhm.
And the community comes in. I think we've had just crossed 250 unique community members signing in through the Raptor system to use it. We also allow students to come in early and work out in the morning. And so they're kind of working between the practice facility and this area. The nice thing about this weight room is we have an upper mezzanine for all the cardio stuff. So we don't have a lot of machines. That's the first thing people say when they walk in, like, where's all the machines? But every one of these 40 stations has like anything that you can imagine if you reconfigure, um, the workout. So we've been super fortunate. The custodial staff here does a great job every day. They come in with a chariot scrubber and scrub it. When the gray flooring showed up, I was super nervous because it's going to turn into a track pad. So we do have some really nice walk-off matting at all of the entrances just to keep the floor looking decent.
A lot
One
of
thing
fitness,
extra, go ahead.
a lot of fitness centers are now being designed this way with this type of structure. We're doing the same thing. Also, a lot of districts are putting turf in the middle so that they
Mm,
can do a lot of speed stuff and not, if you don't have an indoor facility like that, you have a small kind of a area that you can do stuff onto. But this has seemed like this has been the standard setup anymore. A lot safer, and everything's contained to those areas. So which would be really nice for when you bring in community members. Our old
yeah.
fitness center that we're phasing out, a lot of our community members didn't like coming there anymore because we had so many teams, uh, starting at 5 a.m. and going until 9 at night. But I think this would help out with the community members being able to use a fitness center.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, did you fund this through a referendum or did you have any
Did
private donors in any of this?
no donors. We did a two-question referendum, one for a STEM edition and one for this. And we kind of knew this was more of a want than a need. Our old weight room was very small, so we were
Mhm.
packing it out for summer programming and everything. And so pleasantly surprised that it got supported. But yeah. One
Yeah.
thing I forgot to highlight that I'd seen up in Kimberly was there's the crumb rubber that's in turf tends to
Mhm.
get everywhere. And so we put these like it almost looks like when you're in a kitchen, like a commercial kitchen where they have those little hold grates. We put those
Yep.
at the entryways of each of them, so the crumb rubber funnels into there versus coming into the hallways or into the weight room too.
That's a great tip. Hey, I know we went back, we were talking about aquaponics, but before I miss it, in the chat, Brian Johnson from Mauston, he has a meat lab processing plant to go along with their, and that's really interesting. The thought I have as we go through this, there's some really neat ideas out there from other districts. And maybe at our next facilities conference, we could hear about some of these unique spaces that other districts have, because I'd like to hear more about that.
Love it. I think whenever we do the summer facility WASBO custodial
Yeah,
thing, one of the
yeah,
most well-attended things is the tour. People
yeah,
love seeing what
yes.
other people have going on, and I think we could use this to learn from each other too. If you have a unique issue,
Yeah,
continue to network with others that have similar facilities.
yeah.
All right. I during one of the summer conferences, man, this must have been back in like 2010 or something, but I remember coming to the South Milwaukee PAC and being just like blown away. Like this is next level performing arts center. I do know that they have a community partnership, I believe, that runs it. I'm not sure if it's directly run by the school district, but the school district does all the caring for it. So I don't want to underestimate what Carol and crew are doing over there, but she mentioned that they extract quarterly, extract all the seats annually. I'm not sure in Muskego that we've extracted seats ever, so way to go, teams. Biggest problem, I think, is all of the bane of our existence being glitter. and making sure that they get thorough inspections of the drop curtains and all the different the pit and things like that. You guys have performing arts centers?
Yes, I do. It was built in 2004, along with the addition to the high school. It took 3 times to pass that referendum because it was very emotional because the Performing Arts Center went over where the gymnasium was. And so there was a group that wanted to save the gym, had petitions going and stuff like that. But ever since it was built, it has been used all the time. It is actually run by a separate group. It's called the Hyder Center Board. Uh, we operate and maintain our performing center, and the school uses it whenever they want, but they bring in shows. We just had a recent concert in there 2 weeks ago. This weekend, we have another band coming, a lot of performances, um, a lot of maintenance to it too, just like you said. Your yearly testing of the curtains, the rigging, making sure your rigging's been tested. A lot of that stuff that gets thought, forgot about. And also, all the DSPS rules, and when the inspectors come in, it's usually where they go first is go to your auditorium and the stage. And if you have a scene shop also, because that's where a lot of the violations seem to occur.
Hmm.
Yeah, the other thing, Scott, and you probably do this, is fire testing the curtains periodically is another thing that's as it comes up. We do not have a performing arts center. I've been into West Salem's and it's a beautiful facility. We have auditoriums, but I couldn't call them performing arts centers. They certainly don't look like this facility.
I'd love to, I think one of our maybe next year we should do just a session on this because there's so many
Yeah,
intricacies and
right.
nuances with these spaces.
Hmm.
So yeah, love it. I just wanted to give another nod. It was the first time I've ever seen black turf installed, and so South Milwaukee did a black turf project this year. Looks awesome. I do wonder how hot that bad boy gets during the heat of summer, but very unique. And I think any type of turf, you can customize for your school colors and
Yeah,
interesting.
that makes me think of Boise State and their blue, the first
Yeah.
ones to put out there that blue turf. Yes.
Oh. John says it's got white infill to make it cooler. I know that they offer like
Mm,
cork or different types. So yeah, interesting.
yeah.
Uh, Kevin from Wauwatosa was late on sending me his pictures. I didn't get him in this morning, but he did send me this one of the teacher's lounge this week, which there was a small fire that he had to take the microwave out to his truck. So thought we would throw in the fun space. Uh, any overarching thoughts before we depart?
I just really loved looking in the chat and hearing what you guys are doing. I do think there's some classes certainly at our custodial conferences or facilities conferences that I'd like to hear more about from people in the audience. And so I encourage you, if you would like to be involved in some of that, we'd love to hear what you're doing unique at your school because there's a lot of really neat things happening out there I'd like to learn more about.
Yeah, connecting with your community and getting your community partners. It's kind of what we're doing as we're building our trades lab. We're building a CTE lab that has our metals, our woods, but we're also building a trades lab, and we have a lot of outside interests, different companies, contractors that want to be a part of it. We're putting together HVAC systems that kids can work on. So, it's like we're evolving all the time into how the times are changing also. So, making sure that you're getting together with a lot of those because you can bring a lot of not just funding, but ideas and stuff like that and create even more specialty areas.
Yeah,
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 for
nice.
sure.
Interesting combo in the chat. Nick from Elkhorn, who's also a coach, so he might have a good background in this, asked if the WIA requires a waiver if your football field isn't green. So that's an interesting one that I don't have the answer to, but all things to consider when you're installing any type of facility to make sure it aligns and is compliant with everything.
Yeah.
On behalf
And
yeah.
I saw in there Becky Hansen asked about commercial kitchens too. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
we didn't have any pictures of that, but we're certainly partnering with TC, Western Wisconsin Technical College, is where we do ours at. But certainly there's been discussion about a commercial kitchen, and that'd be another opportunity for someone to share what they're doing with theirs.
Yeah. I would highly recommend, like you said, partnering with the college to make sure
Mhm,
that the culinary experience aligns to what they would do in college.
mhm.
We partnered with um, our architect, and while they provided good guidance, it felt like a little bit of like a rubber stamp of here's what you need. And when we took it to the
Mhm,
college, they were like, no, this isn't what you need. Here's the combi ovens, here's the
mhm.
workflow.
Yeah,
And they pretty much redesigned the entire flow of our commercial kitchen. And it's been a pretty interesting experience.
yeah, great idea.
On behalf of WASBO, here's a link to other learning upcoming courses. There's a lot going on for facilities managers. If you don't know, now you know. There's the facility manager certification program. There's a new building lead certification program. If you have an up and comer that you want to put them through a program like that. UW Green Bay is now offering some sessions for finance for the facilities manager. And we have the summer custodial conferences, which Caitlin dropped a link for the host sites for this year. So a lot of great learning for all of us. And our next topic is going to be facility use. So when we think about our facilities being a community hub after school, how do you process through that? Like, do you bill people? Do you have a calendar you use? What are the structures in place to make sure that you have a successful evening program that many of us are living with? So with that, also nominate your custodian for Custodian Maintenance Professional of the Year, due by May 6th. Joe, Scott, and I have sat on these committees for a long time, and it's stunningly disappointing how few people come through as applicants. You may think you don't have a shot. Everybody's got a shot. So please put in a
Yeah,
nomination for somebody that's deserving. It's great to celebrate folks that are doing great work in our schools.
for sure.
All right, that's our session. We will catch you guys on March 12th, 8:30 a.m.